Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Lamborghini Murciélago at Golden Max in multiplayer in Asphalt 9. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and be sure to check out my Furum Clips channel as well as my Purple Team Discord. As always, the links will be in the description, and I hope you enjoyed these races, which I actually recorded quite a while back. In whichever season allowed you to test this car at max for free, I did make a video at a slightly lower star by race plays, but I never really got around to uploading this one, so here you go. Also, since it's been a while since I recorded these races, I accidentally deleted one of the video files I had for this car. Thankfully, I still had one left, so I was still able to make this video, but I lost the one that had some of the later races in the season. So what you're seeing here are actually some of the earlier races in the season. As you might be able to imagine, recording videos at 1440p, 60 FPS all the time can definitely fill up some space. I also record at 50,000 bitrate, and just in case anybody was wondering, I use OBS, and the files that I get out of it for like 10 minutes with this quality are between 3 and 4 gigs. It's crazy. So every so often I go through and I delete old video files, and I always try to check through them first just to make sure there's nothing in them that I actually wanted to use in a video. I generally delete ones that I know I have already used in a video because I'm probably not going to use those again. And I actually have a system of whenever I record, I name the file a little bit of something about what's in it so that I can quickly look through and see, okay, hey, these are the races about this car, these are the races about this car. I've done this on and off, and I guess when I record these Murciélago races, I wasn't doing it, and so that's how I came to accidentally delete a video about a car that I wanted to upload. Some behind the scenes stuff for you there. So how is the Murciélago at Golden Max? Well, first of all, this car kind of flew under the radar from what I've seen. I really don't see a whole lot of them at all, and it was a Legend Pass car, and because it wasn't a particularly bad nor particularly good Legend Pass car, just kind of average, I would say, didn't really get talked about a whole lot. Its top speed is 228 miles per hour, its acceleration at 77 is nothing special, I would say below average actually, and its nitro and handling just above 60 apiece again are very average. There's really nothing about this car that stands out a lot. It is one of the higher end Class B cars, but definitely not a king, and I would probably put it somewhere close to the DBS Superleggera and the SLR in terms of overall performance. It's decent for multiplayer, I would say, but you can't use it in the B-Class Elite events, and overall, I would just say that it's a fine B-Class car. Nothing really wrong with it, just nothing great about it either. That's also pretty much how I felt about the McLaren Elva, which I tested very recently. Go check that out if you haven't seen it yet and are interested. There's just been a lot of cars that have been added to Asphalt 9 recently that are good cars by all means, but just aren't near the top of their class and don't particularly excel in any one thing, and so they just get kind of forgotten. But that trend is going to stop very soon, probably with the Hennessy Venom F5, which will likely require the McLaren Elva and possibly other Legend Pass cars in order to get. And no, I will not be going for it, and no, I will not be buying the Legend Pass this season, but as always, I will be giving you as much information as I can about that event as soon as it comes out, as well as providing you with a max free try test of it as soon as I get the chance. Also, the first Heatwave multiplayer season came out just this morning, and I plan to make videos about the V12 Speedster, the Bugatti Veyron, and the Lamborghini SC20 in that. I have already made a video about the Acura NSX GT3 Evo at Golden Max in its own multiplayer season, so go check that out if you're wondering how that car performs. And as for the McLaren 570S, I recently maxed my own, so I will be making a max test of that in a normal multiplayer season. And I believe I've made max tests before in all the rest of the cars in the Heatwave season. So back there, I wrecked on the cave. That little bit that juts out is basically the one thing that you really have to worry a lot about when you're riding along the side like that. If you get just the wrong trajectory, sometimes you will hit it and it will cause you to wreck like that. So unfortunately, I got a bit behind, was not able to catch up to the car ahead of me, which was a Ferrari Enzo, so pretty close to the same speed. The fastest car that I think I faced in this season a lot was probably the Mazzanti Avantra Millicavalli, which, as you guys know, is obviously a lot better than this car, but since these races were earlier on in the season, I was able to beat them a bit easier than I would have been able to otherwise. And I am happy to say that I have completed my 2-week internship, and I will be starting school the next week. I guess the second part might not be so happy, but I'm kind of excited for it. But I just want to tell you guys that to let you know that likely the videos will be slowing down slightly once school starts for me. Probably will go back to doing about 3 a week like I used to do. During the summer, I have had more time in general, so that's why I've been able to do like 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes once every day for a week or two. but that unfortunately will not be staying, but I will still try to upload every other day or so. And it's going to be even crazier this time around because I've actually decided to start studying for my third actuarial exam. Yeah, the third one. And this is because it is actually not going to be offered anymore after, I think, November 2022. It has 4 more slots of being offered until then. I'm probably going to try to take it in March of next year. And I have heard that it is harder than the previous 2 exams I have done and covers pretty much as much material as both of them combined, so I'm absolutely going to get a head start on studying for that. The reason I want to take it now is because it's an exam, IFM, that's been around for a while, and what happened was that the SOA, the Society of Actuaries, decided we want to make a different exam. So now, instead of a multiple choice exam like IFM, which covers things like stocks and options and cool stuff like that I'm honestly really interested in, they're going to be making a completely new exam that is project based and it's take home, which sounds like it would be easier because IFM is pretty difficult. But the thing is, generally speaking, whenever a new actuarial exam comes out, they are a lot harder on the first sitting than they are later, and I would be wanting to take it on a first sitting. Anyways, I kind of went off onto a tangent there, but I just kind of like to keep you guys updated on what I am truly planning to do as a career, because what you guys see on YouTube is something that I honestly do mainly for fun. It does provide me some income during college, but I'm not planning to do this as my job or my career. It is too fickle for that, and while I do plan to keep making YouTube videos as long as I can and keep growing my channel, my biggest focus is going to be on my actuarial career, and that is why every so often I tell you guys how it's going, even though I know most of you probably don't know much about what I'm talking about. It's just something that's very important to me. So we're coming up toward the end of this race. The other 2 cars that I would say were likely my biggest competitors here were the LaFerrari Aperta, which is the car back in distant second place, and also the 488 GTB Challenge Evo, which I would consider to be slightly better than the Enzo and this car right here, but again, not a king of Class B. And now we are moving on to our final race in the video, which actually has 5 LaFerrari Apertas in it, which is kind of crazy. The least diverse race I played in this season so far, I think. There's also a Roma and a 488 Challenge Evo as well. For my general review of this car, I just think I'll reiterate what I've said previously in the video, that it's a fine car. There is nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing especially great about it either, and so it kind of gets forgotten. But if you do have this car, it's really a fine B-class multiplayer car. You could probably do some damage with it in Gold League and possibly even lower Platinum League multiplayer. All of its stats are fairly average for its class all around. I would say that the acceleration might even be slightly below average at 77, but the top speed at 228 is certainly something to think about. Oh, and I mentioned this in a previous video, but I actually meant to sandbag for the current SC20 Grand Prix, but unfortunately I forgot that the first practice runs you do tell you which qualifying round you get put into, which then determine, based on if you get top 10, whether you actually get into the event. So kind of failed on that this time, definitely going to try that again next time. So as we take the victory in this final race, thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you have enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!